I hated school. I didn't do well at all. I was a C average student. I had a difficult time comprehending, concentrating. And so, but I did get qualified to go back to school. And when I had took the assessment, I, of course, assessed it very low. And I had to start from the ground up to take college level classes. When I was feeling overwhelmed with all the classes ahead of me that I had to reach in order to get to college level. Other students who scored high on the assessment, when they jumped in, they had a difficult time catching up because they forgot a lot of the foundational training that was required. So, because it was fresh in my brain, it wasn't a struggle for me. It's like I knew what to do step by step, and I actually did really well. It turns out that I actually got a 4.0 grade average, and it maintained consistent like that at the point where I was on the honor list. And then I became so much on the honors list, I became on the dean's list. So that was really great. Then I did the bridge program. I was doing so many majors. I mean, I just loved learning. There was communications and vocal performance and maybe a bit of drama and English. There was Spanish guitar. There was legal. There was psychology. I mean, you name it. I was going to school for years because I just really loved it. But I had to choose a major. So the major that I chose was English and then alongside a teaching credential so I can begin teaching. So I was transferred to Cal State Los Angeles. And guess what happened? I dropped back down to my C average. I think it was like a C minus. And it's like, it was really difficult. And when I was writing from the subconscious mind. And I didn't realize it was a diversity issue. So what happened was that when I went to go get my paper assessed by a professional, they were reading the material back to me and they were like, "Well, doesn't that make sense to you, Crystal?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, doesn't it to you?" And she's like, "No." When we write with the subconscious mind. And my background is I have an indigenous background, and my grandparents, they learned their first language was Korean Ojibwe, and they learned English, but it's like it was translated from that to English. Now, even though English was my first language, but it's not like we learned up learning proper English. And that's not my history. It wasn't even part of my culture. So it wasn't something that was very important as long as we were able to communicate with each other and knowing multiple languages. It was really pointed out to me when I was talking to my grandmother and I was hearing her talk, and she was using phrases like "whatchamacallit down there, $3," like it was a lot of slang, it was a lot of descriptions as opposed to using the proper grammar. And it was kind of like switched back from the sentence structure. But anyways, I will tell you in a minute what happened, but I was really stressed on exam night. And when I would write papers, the teachers would edit it, and then I would go home and clean it up and edit it. And then I would go back and they would re edit on top of the edits that they had already done. So that was frustrating. And I couldn't understand what they wanted. Like it seems like I was doing the work, but it wasn't working. One night, just before the exams, I was stressed out. I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw Brian Weiss, who did a hypnotic meditation. He had written the book Many Lives, Many Masters. And what he noticed when he had clients who was doing hypnotherapy on, that they were different people. They weren't the same people. So after having so many clients doing this on, he started to collect their data, like their name, their age, their race, what part of the world that they were living in, if they were in the army, what rank they were in. And he actually verified that these people actually existed and they had passed away. So while he was doing the hypnotic meditation, I decided to do it. and he was guiding me along the way. And what I noticed, what was really fascinating, was that I was dropping into deeper states of consciousness, and I was aware that it was happening at the same time. I was fascinated and I was hooked. And I was researching at local areas in Los Angeles where they had done hypnotherapy training, some kind of schools. Like, what do I need to do? So if I live far away enough from this hypnosis school, then I can get free training. But it was too close. I did the test the next day, and then by the end of the semester, I ended up getting, I think it was an A minus or a B plus. I took grammar classes and I ended up improving exactly what was required from me. And I was really proud of myself. It was a big milestone for me to overcome. Needless to say, the hypnotherapy was calling me, and I was very intrigued, and I decided to enroll. So I quit my last year of Cal State Los Angeles and I jumped into hypnotherapy. When I started the training, before I even graduated, I began working on clients. I was offering pro bono services. I wanted to increase my skill as a hypnotherapist. So I was putting the word out to as many people as I can, free hypnotherapy. And I ended up having some really great clients and really great experiences. For example, there was a client who was addicted to sugar. So we transferred the craving to water from sugar. And the next time that I saw this person, they said I wasn't craving sugar anymore and they were drinking water and everything was fine. So that was good. There was another client who was triggered by being around family and feeling the trauma of that. We worked with each other and they were no longer triggered, which was really great. But then I got this odd request with this client. They wanted to attract a car, but they didn't want to pay for it. So I was like, okay, I felt like Genie and Aladdin, let's do it. And so I worked on this person and I ran into them a month later. And they said, Crystal, you never guess what happened. I attracted a car. And I was like, no way. I was shocked. I was really shocked. So I ran into this client a month later. So I'm like, how's the vehicle coming along? And they said, not good. And I was like, well, why? They said, it broke down and I have no money to pay for it. And that was a light bulb moment for me because it wasn't the car that was the issue of what they wanted to attract. It was the money that they needed to attract. It was the wealth consciousness that they needed to attract. It was the wealth management that they needed in their subconscious mind that they needed to attract more money and learn to hold on to it. What it comes down to is that we are under states of hypnosis throughout the day more than you realize. And we are constantly depositing thoughts with the association of emotions throughout the day. So there's 5 states. The first one is the gamma, which is like a heightened, inspired state of creativity. Then we have our conscious day state, which is the beta. And then we have 2 hypnosis states. We have a light state of hypnosis, which is the alpha, and then you have a deeper state of hypnosis, which is the theta. And when we are asleep, that's the delta. We are not consciously awake. And when we dream, we are actually in the theta state before we come out. That's why we remember our dreams before we wake up. And if we don't write it down, we will forget it. When we are in the light state of hypnosis, it's activities that we do that we don't realize that our mind wanders off. That's when we're in a light state of hypnosis. When you listen to music and your mind goes off, you're in a light state of hypnosis. When you're doing activities where you don't think about, such as driving, it's kind of scary when you think about it, but yeah, driving, when you're doing domestic duties, such as dishes or things like that, you don't realize how much we deposit into our mind of whatever we're thinking about or feeling at the time. And we have the power to change that. So what's not healthy is playing out negative scenarios over and over and over again. What is the most healthiest thing is being aware of our thoughts and our feelings when we're doing mindless activities and using that to our advantage. When we start thinking about, let's just say, all kinds of positive things that we want to bring in. So, also, the focus of this is to de-stress. So I will talk about de-stressing shortly. But first, I want to talk about positive things that we can change. So if you want to do weight loss, there's so many thoughts and feelings that we can think that will make us feel really good about losing weight and feeling like it's possible. There's earning money and becoming wealthy. There's health, parts of your body, if it's in pain or you want to change your body, then there's lots of positive thoughts and emotions that we can think, that we can change that. Relationships. When we're doing activities and we're arguing with someone, or maybe there's an event that creates a lot of negativity, we can create positive healing conversations in our mind with ourselves to resolve the issues. So, again, if you feel yourself recycling negative thoughts and feelings and resentments, that just builds layer after layer into your subconscious mind. But if you choose to, because you don't want to positive thoughts when you're feeling resentful, there's a healing that needs to take place. So you want to process those feelings first, and then you want to deposit all those possibilities, unless you already feel good and you can manifest positive states. How do we de-stress? I mean, when you go and take a shower and you have the warm water, you can feel your muscles relaxing. You're in a light state of hypnosis. When you go into meditation, when you do any breath work, you go into a light state of hypnosis. So it's there for you to take advantage of throughout the day. We don't realize how powerful we are working with our energy and all the ways that we could use it to work in our favor. So a lazy secret that I will tell you that has worked for me. So I wanted to do more vegetables in my diet. Like I love carbs. I mean, I love potatoes, I love rice, but I eat too much of it. And I need to do more plant-based stuff. So I eat good sources of protein, but I want to implement more vegetables. So I started watching just very simple plant-based recipes before I go to bed. Now, it's not so great before you go to bed because you're watching electronics that are stimulating your mind. But if you're very tired, then that is the window that I use. And the next day, it was like I was coming out with all these recipes, putting together that makes food be really tasty when I eat it. So that was a positive change. Cleaning. I'm not a big fan of cleaning, although I do it, it seems like all day and every day when you have kids. There's just like a lot of work. And when I watch the ASMR, which is the stimulating sounds of cleaning, when I watch those, I seem to do it the next day and have that mentality of this is not so bad. You know, I can think about these positive things while I'm doing this. It's like you can make it work in your favor. When I was going to Hypnosis Motivational Institute, it was created by John Kappas and it was later taught by his son, George. Learned about all kinds of techniques as a hypnotherapist. There are certain scripts that you use when you communicate, of all the things that you can say, the positive seeds that you can plant into your subconscious mind. When I was going to school, I learned about a theory of mind. We have our subconscious mind that's composed about 88%. And at the bottom of that is our fight and flight mode, freeze or fawn. And then everything that we've learned all the way up to age 7 is everything that's composed in our subconscious mind. And then the 12% would be our conscious mind, would be our decision making, willpower, um, ability to think on your own as critical thinking. And with a theory of mind, when you get a hypnotherapist, or if you can go into a very deep state of hypnosis, you bypass the resistance of your conscious mind. And there's nothing to fight. And you're just receiving all that information. And it was a wonderful opportunity for me to work with clients and plant positive seeds of affirmation, feeling good, happy about your life, feeling loved, taking advantage of possibilities. I mean, it was just endless of, the wonderful work that I would work on when I would work with clients. If you want to do self hypnosis and you want to de stress, areas of de-stressing is going for a walk and saying those positive affirmations. But again, you have to process your feelings first, because if you're just boiling with all the hurt and the pain and the triggers, then you're just creating more frustration. You have to do the healing first. In other words, you just got to be in a neutral state of mind. You need to feel good. But if you got stuff coming up, you got to deal with that. Neutral state of mind, then you're able to plant those positive seeds of affirmations. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please put in the comments below. And I will also have a hypnotic recording about feeling good about who you are in your life in the description below. If you like this video, give me a like. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe.